Before it's too late.
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr Speaker, if that was a leadership bid by Mr Cunliffe, it was certainly a third-rate effort. Mr Speaker, I'm quite happy to talk to that member about the economic plan of this government, because this government is absolutely focused on getting the economy performing. We need to do that for the benefit of our children. And I need to remind the member that as a former Associate Minister of Finance, he is responsible for the mess that this national government inherited at the end of 2008, when over 9 years they lived through the most benign economic conditions that I've probably seen in a lifetime, and they squandered every opportunity, Mr Speaker.
Point of order. The Honourable Trevor Maddox.
Ask the Speaker to come back to the debate, which is a financial review of a particular year and going forward. It doesn't go back that far.
I'm very mindful of comments and I'm listening very carefully.
Mr Speaker, I'm happy to outline for that member the economic plan of this government. He should know it. It's mentioned time and time again in the House, but I'm only too happy to outline the plan for him. We're absolutely committed to get this economy going so that we do create more jobs. But every time we come up with a proposal, that member and his caucus object to it, Mr Speaker. We're absolutely focused on balancing the books. That opposition has one solution, and that's to borrow more money and pass more debt on to the next generation. Well, Mr Speaker, that's unacceptable to me as a minister of this John Key-led government, Mr Speaker. This government has an absolute commitment to the rebuild of Christchurch, something that we incessantly see their Labor Party members objecting to, but there is a great opportunity for economic development in Christchurch, Mr Speaker, and I'm proud of this government's commitment to Christchurch and that rebuild, Mr Speaker. That member talks about the ability to get the economy going and to get jobs in this country. Well, I want to speak to one particular initiative that will deliver a lot of jobs to New Zealand, Mr Speaker, and that's around the Sky City deal that has been the subject of a lot of press in the last few days, Mr Speaker. Because, Mr Speaker, that member, in his contribution a minute ago, referred to it as questionable and lacking transparency, Mr Speaker. Well, when I was acting Economic Development Minister last year, I had the ability to well and truly be involved in the process, Mr Speaker. And what the government did is called for particular proposals. From memory, there were 5. One stood out that was totally different to all the others, Mr Speaker, because one said that Sky City was prepared to deliver the convention centre to Auckland, something that the Auckland City Mayor is calling for, Mr Speaker. But the difference with the Sky City bid versus all the others is they didn't expect the government to pay for it. They didn't expect the government to pay for it, Mr Speaker. And this convention centre has the potential to develop not hundreds of jobs, but over time, thousands of jobs to the Auckland economy, thousands of jobs to New Zealand. Now, Mr Cunliffe shakes his head. Mr Cunliffe shakes his head. That is how bereft of economic ideas that man is, when he's left with a national convention centre, able to take that number of delegates, able to bring that number of people into New Zealand, would not create jobs. That is economically naive, Mr Cunliffe. Mr Speaker, it will require us to address some issues around gaming machines, but if we see the overall number of gaming machines decline from 25,000 in the Auckland region when that member was a minister of the Labor government, down to around 18,000, we're achieving a significant reduction, Mr Speaker. So I fully support what John Key, as the Prime Minister, is doing to develop this. It's a $350 million investment into the Auckland economy. That's just the construction cost, Mr Speaker, and it will deliver jobs. And I say to Mr Cunliffe, and he thinks we can rebuild the economy from the mess that Labor government left at the end of 2008, if he thinks we can rebuild the economy and deliver sustained growth to New Zealand, sustained jobs to New Zealanders, and expect that government, that opposition, to vote against every initiative we come up with, then it's no wonder Mr Shearer languishes in the polls. It's no wonder the Labor opposition languishes in the polls. And Mr Cunliffe might come out with a major speech over the last couple of days acknowledging that his government got it wrong, but what he should do is not object to every proposal that this government has to really get the economy going.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, we're not objecting to every proposal. We're just objecting to the shonky ones.